Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about why high school boys are making a decision not to have sex. And probably was more excited about doing this video than any of the others because I just think you're going to be very surprised by what you hear today. I'm sure that many of you are just as skeptical as I was about whether high school boys would be receptive to a message of discipline and self-control and abstinence. And hopefully after you watch this video, you will be encouraged and just as hopeful as I am about the ability for boys to make good decisions. I encounter two categories of young men in the classroom that encourage me. The first category that I encounter are the young men who had already made a decision not to have sex before I ever showed up. And I have been pleasantly surprised about how many of those young men that there are out there. They're not broadcasting it, but there are a lot of young men who have already made a decision to do what's best for them in this area. And if you think I've been surprised by how many of those young men are out there, you can imagine how surprised I've been by when I found out how many young men who are out there who are willing to rethink their decisions about being sexually active when given logical and practical reasons why they should wait. And I hear a number of reasons from young men as to why they make a decision to wait. And the first one is just based on their goals and having careers in mind, that they know that being sexually active could jeopardize their chances of becoming who they want to be. Let me read you a letter I got from a young man. He says, "I realized that with me being a good football player, taking the risk of having sex could slim my chances of becoming what I want to be. I wish you would have come sooner so that I could have learned this when I was younger. I strongly agree with you that not having sex makes the relationship stronger." The second reason that I hear, and this is pretty common and very similar to the young ladies, is to avoid STDs, pregnancies, and because they learn from others' mistakes. And man, I wish I could get more young people to understand that they don't have to make all the mistakes themselves, that they can learn from others' mistakes. But listen to this young man's letter. He says, "Thank you for confirming that I have made the correct choice in choosing to be a virgin. I'm a guy, and it's really hard to fight the urges. But I have paid attention to what is happening around me, like STDs and teen pregnancies, and I don't want those things to be a part of my life." The third reason that I hear is because they love and respect the women that they're with, and they understand that loving and respecting a young lady means to do what's best for them. So let me read you another letter from a young man. He says, "I would just like to sincerely thank you for all of your help and advice. You have clearly opened my eyes and views on sex, relationships, and what it means to be a man. I'm not a virgin, but I have decided to be abstinent from this moment until my wedding night. I vow to be honest with women and honestly and truly respect women. Also, I will keep mine and their best interest in mind. Thank you very much." And the last reason that I'll talk about today is that they want to do what's best for their future families, for their future spouses and their future kids. And let me read you my final letter from a young man. He says, "Now I am trying to be abstinent, and it is not only to prevent disease or pregnancy, but because I want to be a good husband someday. I'm choosing to leave my player ambitions behind. I currently only have one female with no sex, and I am happier now than when I had 4 or 5 girls at a time and I was having sex. Your class has made me realize that I needed to chill, and I appreciate that." Now that is something I never anticipated happening when I started this work 11 years ago, and I was so skeptical about whether boys, and I would have never imagined that anything that I would say would help a young man who's dating 4 or 5 girls at a time and being sexually active come to me or write a letter and say that I made him realize that he had to chill and that he's happier with no sex than he was with sex. I hope you're as encouraged as I am, and I wish I could take you all in the classroom with me and you could hear for yourselves the transformation, or see for yourselves the transformation that I see in these teenagers once they hear a message that's presented to them in the right way. Now let's talk about what you can do to produce young men like the young men who wrote the letters that I just read to you. The first thing is education is key. Educate, educate, educate. But what you need to understand is, in many cases, you may not know everything that you need to know to enable to educate them, because I tell the students in the classroom all the time that they may know more about the consequences that are there from being sexually active today than their parents do, because things are very different than they were when you came along. And so I recommend you go back and read one of my previous blog posts that I posted on March 17th of 2013, and it's entitled "Truth That Sets Them Free." The second thing that you can do is help the young men in your life set goals. Help them understand the importance of having something to say yes to. Again, you can go back to a previous blog post that I wrote on January 16, 2013, and it's titled Just Say Yes, because I think kids who have a bigger yes out there have an easier time to say no to temporary things because they want that yes that's sitting out there. The third thing is to talk to the young men in your life about what love and respect really looks like. What does it mean when you respect a young lady? What does it mean when you love a young lady? How can you show her that you really love her? And that's simply by doing what's best for her. And we all know that sex as a teenager is never the best choice for either the guy or the girl. Again, you can go back and read a blog post that I just posted called Love Ed versus Sex Ed. And it was posted on May 17th, 2013. The final thing is to focus on the benefits that they will gain from not having sex more than you focus on the consequences that they'll experience if they are having sex. And these benefits aren't just for them, but for them and their future families. You can also go back and read a blog post that I wrote on March 11, 2013 called Investment is Better Than Sacrifice. And the quote that I used in that, it says, when you give up something now for something better later, that's not a sacrifice, that's an investment. And that's a quote by Andy Stanley. And I think when teenagers look at their choices this way, I think it makes it easier for them to make good choices in this area. So it sounds like everything you need is right here on this blog. So if you'll just go back and read all of my previous blog posts, I think you'll be set. Well, this blog post concludes my series, Teens Tell All, Top 20 Reasons Why Teens Do and Don't Have Sex. I hope that you found the series to be not only insightful, but also beneficial. And I also hope that you will stay engaged to my blog so that because I have so much more information to share with you that will help you be a better parent, a better mentor, and a better role model. Until next time.